Call this meeting in order. All stand, face the flag for the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Roll call. Britton Luther.
Present.
R.J. Donovan.
Here.
Present. Approval of minutes.
Make the motion that we approve minutes.
I'll second the motion.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approval of claims.
I'll make a motion to approve claims.
Second the motion to approve claims.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approval of payroll.
Motion to approve payroll.
Second the motion.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Public comment. Someone has something you want to say tonight? Come to the podium and identify yourself. If not, we're going to move on to COVID update from the, I'll read from Vermillion County Health Department. Positive COVID-19 cases from 5/1/22 to 5/20/22. The total was 59. Since last update, we are seeing an increase in positive cases. This does not include a home test. Dr. Market and staff will keep monitoring the cases within Vermillion County. Home test kits are available at the Health Department. CDC is expanding eligibility of the COVID-19 vaccine booster doses to everyone 5 years of age and older. CDC now recommends that children ages 5 through 11 should receive a booster shot 5 months after their initial Pfizer vaccination series. In addition, the CDC is strengthening its recommendation that those 12 years old and older who are immune compromised and those 50 and older should receive a second booster dose at least 4 months after their first. Percentages for Vermillion County by age group, age 5 to 11, one dose is at 55.7%, and fully vaccinated is 49.8%. 12 to 17, one dose 60%, fully vaccinated 53.9%. 18 to 34, one dose 63%, fully vaccinated 56.8%. Age 65, one dose 89%, fully vaccinated 82.1%. This will be our last monthly COVID-19 update. We will be reporting quarterly to Vermillion County Board of Commissioners, including COVID-19 within those reports. So I guess we're going to change it instead of from monthly to a quarterly. I think that probably will change if things get worse. Vermillion County Health Department will continue to schedule vaccine clinics for routine and COVID-19 vaccines. Testing for COVID-19 will end June the 30th at the Health Department, but could be reopened if the community needs changes. Anybody got anything about the Health Department or comments? Vermillion Rise, I don't think there's no one here from Vermillion Rise. They usually come on the morning meetings, so it's understandable. VTA, Vermillion Trails Alliance.
Les Zimmerman, Vermillion Trails Alliance. I really don't have much for you today, but I did want to ask you about this discussion we had, I think it was 2 meetings ago, and kind of clarify some things. You requested, RJ, that we contact the adjacent landowners to the trail out there that heads toward OPD Road. And I ran that by my group, and boy, I tell you what, there was a lot of pushback. I went back and looked at the YouTube from that meeting, and at that time, you know, it was kind of agreed that this was a good idea and you agreed. I think I don't, there wasn't any vote or anything like that, and then Tom and I basically agreed to that. But I guess I'm going to ask you, I mean, I don't know how to go about this. I don't know what's expected. I don't know if we picked a random date and just say we're going to have this meeting. Do we contact these people, see when they're available? How much trouble do we go to? And what does this meeting look like? I guess I'd like to, excuse me, I'd just kind of like to maybe push it back on you all a little bit, since it is your project.
I think the other commissioners can, throw in their 2 cents as well, but I think the VTA, since they've spearheaded a lot of these projects and they pretty much have ownership of them until, they get done with them, I think the VTA could go, in my opinion, as far as needed to get a hold of these landowners and set up a meeting and coordinate that meeting with the commissioners, because I think we all need to be there as well. And I mean, when I talked to these landowners in the past, they necessarily weren't anti-trail, but they were just anti not hearing their concerns. So I would like to extend that olive branch one more time and make sure that they're there. And I think we could accommodate anybody that's on that adjacent landowner, or at least that's, my opinion.
Well, and I understand exactly where you're coming from, and I tend to agree with you. Again, there was pushback on my side because how do you set something up with people that don't even live here and 3 commissioners that are all working? And I mean, how do you arrive at a date?
I think
And
you
who-
definitely.
I mean, I'm not the secretary. I'm the operator. I build stuff.
Yeah, well, I think the VTA has a very good group of people. I think there's a lot of volunteers in that organization, and I think if they want to see this trail proceed, I think somebody will spearhead that and come up with some dates and share those with the commissioners. I know I'm pretty flexible. I think Tim and Britton would probably agree to an extent. But I think if we refuse to extend this olive branch, I can't see it moving forward with my support. So
If I compose a letter or an invitation or something, would you consider putting it on your letterhead?
Sure.
I wouldn't have any issues with that.
The other thing I think that needs to be addressed, I think that maybe your group, I'm part of that group, that you might wonder if you got the support of the commissioners. I'm speaking for my part. I support you wholeheartedly, and I know you're doing a wonderful job. So I don't want you to think that something like this going out is going to affect my support of you guys. I'm going to support you, okay? But we also want to give the landowners their time to say what they want to say. But
And I get that. I'm not.
Refresh my memory, what is the meeting supposed to be for?
As we extend the trail, the one up here at the county farm, as we extend that south and east toward OPD Road, the county doesn't own on both sides of the trail anymore after a certain point. After the first, I think it's 3,000 feet.
Sure.
The rest, another whole mile is bordered on either side by private landowners.
Okay.
And apparently the concern is that we need to, as a group, as commissioners, that we need to inform these people prior to beginning construction on that, to let them know what our intentions are, as RJ referred to it as to extend an olive branch.
What's the end result that we're just going to take more comment, or where are we going with this?
I don't know that any of these adjacent landowners, I've talked to a few, I'm not sure some of them even have had their concerns heard, or if they did have their concerns heard, they were pushed aside, and that's not, because this eventually will be a Vermilion County trail. This won't be the VTA anymore, it'll be the commissioners, it'll be under the commissioners, and I, for one, don't want, them saying, well, we talked to the trails and they told us they weren't going to listen to us on our concerns of a barrier, or maybe our concerns of a camera. These are property owners that pay taxes, and they have every right, if a trail is going through their property, to know about it. And I think having this meeting and listening to their concerns is their right. And if you two object to that, that's fine.
I'm not objecting to anything. I'm just asking what the result's supposed to come.
Well,
what are we looking for?
Well, I think they're looking to be heard, and I think from the concerns I've had from these landowners, they don't feel that they've been heard, or if they have been heard, they don't feel like they were listened to very well.
Did they provide, either anybody, did they not already provide comments in writing?
Oh, have they? They've threatened us.
Well, let's not go there. I just asked. Okay, so we have comments in writing. Have we responded, or have we looked at those or addressed those comments?
Well, I think our approach has been to do it to the border of the county farm, because you all control all of that. And to do that as kind of a test case, or as a proof of concept. A lot of their concerns had to do with trash, people doing drugs, people being attacked out there.
Back to my question, were their concerns addressed? Have we addressed the concerns of whoever has made a comment on this?
We not directly to them, no. And I'll tell you why. Because they were so confrontational and threatening that I just shut off. I wasn't going to deal with it.
How were the comments already addressed? Did we address it in just a meeting, a discussion, roundtable discussion, or did we receive these in writing and respond back in kind? How was?
I think Les is saying the VTA never did respond to
We
their
never did
concern. So they
respond.
never responded, and then the commissioners at the time were never provided any of this, and after I was elected, all this was brought towards me, and I'd assured them that if this project would go forward, I would make sure their voices were heard and their concerns were responded to, whether it's responding by saying we hear you, and we don't, we think that these are the, solutions, but I think that's part of the issue is just shutting off and not responding to them. I think that's a...
I understand. Did our latest, I'd have to go back and look, we had trails in our comprehensive plan, the last one that we just did. Did we receive public comment? Is anybody here for, I guess, Mr. Hess is here. Does our comprehensive plan address trails, and did we receive comment back on trails?
If I could jump in for Doug for a second, I think the plan does address it. If you look, there should be a copy over there, but I think there is a lot of comments about trails in there.
There are definitely a lot of comments
Yeah.
about trails.
Well, that's what I recall.
Yeah, there's-
And I guess through that process, did we not already have comments and already address comments through that comprehensive plan?
I think these here were more of comments of, we enjoy trails, we enjoy this. This here is more of a targeted, area here of we're going through, because I think a lot of our trails we have now, I'm not sure if any of them's like this, they go through private landowners on both sides like this. Maybe there is, and I'm just not aware.
They're everywhere. I mean, they're everywhere because railroad corridors by nature.
I mean in Vermilion County.
Oh,
though,
not in Vermilion
That's what I
County,
was,
no.
I'll clarify,
But I mean,
in
all over
Vermilion
the
County.
country.
Yeah, that's not an issue. I just think, I would ask the VTA to schedule a meeting or at least notify these landowners that they'd like to be heard and they would like to hear their comments. And this time going around, the commissioners will make sure that they're responded to. Their concerns, they just won't be pushed off and forgot about.
Okay, Sue, okay.
So we as
I'm just trying to
commissioners
figure out how
ought to
this
check.
happens because I'm supposed to contact all these people. I'm not even sure who they are. I'm sure you all can help me out with that. I'm supposed to contact them. I'm supposed to get date options back from them.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm supposed to coordinate all of this.
Well, that's
And,
you've said
frankly,
this. You said this has happened once before. How did you do it the first time?
Oh,
We
they
had
got
open-
wind of it. They.
But I mean, if it's already been done once, I don't see a huge deal doing it a second time.
No, they came to us. We did not arrange anything.
Okay.
They showed up at one of our meetings.
Well, we
Guns
had-
a-blazing.
Well, I'm sure if we could get a hold of them, I'm sure they'd entertain coming back again and tell them that we're here to hear their concerns and we don't, want anything confrontational. But I think extending that olive branch can be a big help in this community.
We
You know
had one meeting at the fire department, public meeting, remember that? We had a public meeting at the health fire department.
That was about the Hillsdale Trail.
Right.
That was not about this one up here. And we addressed all of those people's concerns. But this was a whole different thing. I mean, we just went in to have a meeting and here's all these, like a dozen people sitting there. I mean, everything, cursing at us and threatening us and everything else. And so we just don't have a stomach to go through all this again, but if you insist, we will try to make that happen. I don't, can you work with me to get those?
But that property is owned by the Rise.
It is.
The Evergrade is owned by the Rise, it's leased to the county.
It's licensed to the county commissioners.
So really it's privately owned. It's owned,
It's owned.
and it's not owned by the people who
No,
go through
I
that.
mean, so and Brenda, you're telling me you work with me, I would appreciate that offer, and we will, and you're okay with me us putting this on your letterhead?
And I think all three of us commissioners need to be there to support.
Yeah,
to work.
I would
absolutely.
agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I
think
think
it's very
that's
important that one or two or three of us be there to answer questions.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. It's got to be a big effort. I mean, if they're there and the VTA isn't there, I don't know any answers on that trail. So, I think it's imperative to be a group effort and everybody be there together.
Okay.
Was this something that the trails ought to do, or just the commissioners ought to be doing?
Well, I think the trails, it's imperative for them to help set this up because they're the ones doing all the legwork of the trail. They're the ones that set up the signage. I don't know if they put cameras at certain trails. They know all the ins and outs of it, and the commissioners are just taking ownership once the project's done.
I meant arranging the meeting, not necessarily the
Oh.
conduct of it.
Yeah.
Schedules and.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I think, yeah.
Coordinate it.
Okay.
All right, appreciate your offer.
Let me
Thank
know
you.
if I can help you in any way.
Questions? Speaking of signage. This is what's gonna go at the bridge.
That looks nice.
Nice.
That's going at the bridge at the Hillsdale Trail. And that's the reason we're still not done with that trail. We're waiting on the sign company, but that should be here by the end of the week. So,
Thank you.
So how does that resolve? We're doing it, or they're doing it?
They're going to coordinate it. The VTA is going to coordinate it with us, and whether or not we have it here or maybe at the library, somewhere where they can accommodate some space.
And we need somewhere to, some control in case people do get out of hand. We're not gonna tolerate that
Yeah.
from nobody. Either
Exactly.
side.
Yeah, either way, exactly.
You have to be civil. Moving right along, new business, Ron Mack draft orders for monument protection. Ron's presenting that for tonight for us to read and take under advisement, correct?
Yes. Ron Mack, surveyor. As you know, we've been trying to resurrect the Cornerstone Perpetuation Program in Vermilion County. We've been concentrating mainly on county roads because that's where the township lines and the section lines and range lines tend to be along those. And north of 32, we're pretty well done, but we're not willing to develop tie cards for those locations yet because we're finding several places where it appears we have multiple cornerstones for one section corner. So we're not exactly 100% sure which cornerstone monument should be honored. Some are 50 feet off, some are 150 feet off. But we do have the GPS location and all that down. So now we're at the point where we're going to cross-reference those with existing surveys. And we are going to not even look at our GIS system at this point because we just don't trust it. So we're going to have to go back and do all the legwork. Once we get that done, the great state of Indiana has said it's against the law for anybody to mess with one of those cornerstone monuments unless it's under the direction of the surveyor or his designate. But they did not put anything in the law that polices that action. So I got on the Indiana County Surveyors Association and solicited several typical county ordinances. And they sent me some, and I kind of compiled them all. They basically all said about the same thing. And so that's what I'm going to present to you tonight, just for your consideration. Chew it up, change it, do whatever you want to do to it, and then maybe you can arrange to have first reading in late June or early July, and then start that process for the ordinance. Now, what I'm going to give you here is a corrected one. RJ did respond with a comment, and we did change that. So here's the updated
Oh,
one.
you could have
Tom.
left that alone. Could just drew a line through it. That's okay.
So anyway, I'd just like for you to take that under consideration, and then maybe, does everybody get a copy? Okay, and maybe we can do something with it, like I say, late June or early July, start the process.
So this is,
Yeah, that's
I read
what
the copy that you sent out. This is
Yeah, this
revised.
is different. There's this, one signature line's different on it.
Look, I had some questions. I was gonna wait and talk to you later.
Okay. But that's basically I got Wells County, Howard County, Hancock County. I tried to stay mostly with rural counties like ours, same size, same type of, database, economic base, and tried to mold that into a very comparable ordinance. So anything out of the ordinary.
When dealing with the Indiana and Illinois state line, is it true that can be off by 60 feet or so?
Yes.
Did the state tell you that property line could be off?
No,
by
a
60?
surveyor that actually works over in the Danville area told me that. They found that error. Just last week, we did find a large concrete marker. It's on the, I can't remember, is it 1650 north of 136. Is that our road?
Yeah.
Our road tees into it.
Yeah, well, it's 1650s Beef
Yeah,
House Road, but
okay.
yeah, it's a little bit, yeah.
Okay, right at the end, what we think is the Illinois state line, we found a huge piece of stone or concrete, and whatever was etched in it is now wore off. But it's probably as long as this section here, and it runs due north and south. We checked it with the GPS, and so we're
Is there any
pretty
issues?
confident that that's the state line marker there.
Is there any issues to resolve between Indiana and Illinois when that comes up, or how's that resolved?
Well, the problem is, in Illinois, there's not any kind of statute that requires the cornerstones to be updated, or the information to be kept up to date. Their law states that if a surveyor finds a section corner marker in his normal duties, then he is to record that. Now, according to Harkey's over in Ogden, that doesn't always happen. And when I went to Edgar County and did the research, and I was in Vermillion County and did the research, if you look at their record books, it's kind of hard to say, but probably ballpark from the middle of Edgar County west, they've got them, and from the middle of Vermillion County, Illinois west, they've got them. But right up and down the state line, there's not hardly any records at all.
You know, when you look on the GIS on the state line, our map
Yeah.
shows it here. I know they're not facial, and then Illinois shows it farther over that way.
And that's part of the problem why we have multiple section corners for multiple section corner monuments for one section corner. And if you look at the northern part of our county, our sections along the state line are 3/4 of a mile wide. If you go south of the 10 o'clock line, south of Dana, they're 1/2 mile wide. So we're done with the northern third of the county, and we're just at the point where we're going to have to cross-reference them. Then we'll start producing the tie cards and go from there. Our next step, probably next week or week after, we're going to start at the south end of the county and work our way north, because we are fairly confident that those markers, even though they're probably not there because of the mine, the roads are still true, and we should be able to find those.
Are you still working with your gentleman
Yes,
from
yeah.
last year?
Yeah. And then once we find those and we can verify them, right now, most of the gravel roads, we're finding railroad spikes. Sometimes we find pin nails, but mostly railroad spikes. And what the plan is to try to get in front of you guys paving roads, and we have a special heavy metal marker that we kind of came up with, Dan's help. And we're going to put those in there and anchor those over there. So you can put 6-8 inches of asphalt over it, and the next poor guy that comes along is going to be able to find that section corner.
So we need to update you where we're going to be doing paving?
Yes, if you
Okay.
could.
Sure.
And we'll try to work ahead of it. I mean, RJ got with us, and we got all those roads done.
Okay.
So we haven't been through Dead Man's Holler yet. That's kind of a challenge.
I can imagine.
Now, in this time of year, with the foliage is out, the GPS doesn't work real well.
You know how much good service out there, Dead Man's anyway. Once you
No,
drop
no.
over that hill, you're pretty
We're
much
done, but that's kind of the direction we're going.
Okay.
And then we're going to save, hopefully, by doing the north end and the south end, then we get into the middle where the
Comes
10
together.
o'clock line is. We've got a prayer at hitting it correctly. So
Very good.
please review that, and if there's any changes or you want to do anything with it, I'll change it, or you guys can change it, or John can change it, whatever you need to do. But
Okay.
we need to protect the work that we're doing now.
Agree.
Thank you.
Mike Davis, are you here tonight? 63 and 234.
Well, I just want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to voice my concerns. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Mike Davis. I've lived in Vermillion County for 60 years, and I'm a maintenance director at North Vermillion Schools. The reason I'm here tonight is to discuss a couple different things. I only had one concern that I wanted to discuss when I got put on the agenda, and I had a mother come to me and ask me if I would talk about a second. And it's kind of short, but it's something I think we need to talk about. And the reason I'm here tonight is to discuss one of those two things, and it's the intersection of 63 and 234. And the effects it has on our community, and the effects it has on our school corporation, the effects it has on mothers and fathers that's lost sons and daughters and friends at that location. And I think it's time for us to petition the Indiana Department of Transportation and say, hey, let's scrape this off and let's put stoplights there. I mean, we have it in the southern part of the county, from Terre Haute all the way to Evansville. We have stoplights. I think it's time that we take the steps and do that. I got a kind of prepared statement here because I'm not a guy that gets out and does this very often. I'm a guy that just works every day and puts my shoulder to the stone and just get after it. But this is something I think needs to be addressed and addressed seriously, because if you've seen what I've seen in the last 20 years of students and classmates being lost because of things that we could take care of, I think now's the time. So I'm just going to go through this real quickly. As most of you know, the tragic event that took place on May 11th and the young life that was taken from our community. I was subbing for a vocational driver that morning and was right in the middle of that accident, swerving to miss pieces of the wreckage and trying to keep from being ran over myself by the traffic. And everyone else was trying to do the same. I really didn't understand how every time there's an accident at this location, how many people are affected. Several families in this community have to relive what happened to their son, daughter, mom, dad, or close friend. I've seen firsthand the grief and suffering that students go through when they lose a classmate or a close friend. I'm asking you to not post to Facebook what you're doing, but I want a concerted effort to make this a reality and not just the talk of the town for 2 or 3 weeks. And we just move on. We spend tens of millions of dollars to house criminals. I think it's time to take immediate action to resolve this problem. Problem number 2, once again, this is a mother that came to me. And I really wasn't aware of this because I never go that way. And actually, when I drove across the median, I seen what she was talking about. And it's the hardwood forestry project that's right at the entrance of Norfolk Main Schools. To turn back north, you have to get in the turn lane to see back south. I don't know if any of you drive that way very often, but if I'm a 16 or 17-year-old kid or 18-year-old kid, and I have to get out in the turning lane to go north, that's a problem that we need to take care of. It's an accident waiting to happen. So if we can do something about that, I've pushed this for probably 15 years now, trying to get someone to do something, talk to the superintendents, and superintendents have made phone calls, and we get the same thing every time. It's a protected hardwood forest, and it was a project, I can't remember who it was done by, but it is a problem for us, and I think we need to take care of it. Half of it, if we just take half of it out, I think we would fix most of the problem. That way you can see back south and you can give the students and the faculty and staff or parents an opportunity to turn out there and not be in a position to get hit. Okay? So, and I wrote this down. I said, we can't stop every accident in Vermilion County. I understand that. You guys have got a hard job, and I know this is the state, but this road runs through Vermilion County, and I didn't know what to do, so I called a good friend of mine, and he told me, he said, you need to get on the agenda and speak to the commissioners, because if they pick up the phone and want to talk to the governor, they can. And I think it's important that you guys take this seriously, because here's the part that really got to me, and it's really hard for me to even discuss, but the girlfriend of this young man is going to nursing school, pre-nursing school right now. She's in a vocational project, our program. She was the first ones there. And the first thing she's supposed to do as a trauma nurse or an emergency nurse is take care of everything she can take care of. Okay? So his bone sticking out the side of his leg, I can't do anything about that. Okay? His side is completely destroyed. There's nothing I can do about that. His head's got a big cut in it. There's nothing she can do about that. So the only thing she could do is just comfort him. And I can name names of people that's died there, and I'm guilty of not doing something. And I felt like it was time that I came and voiced my concerns to you guys. What you can do, I know there's going to be studies, and there's going to be budgets, and there's going to be red tape that's going to take this a long time. But when I was a kid, there wasn't an overpass there. There was 3 or 4 lanes of railroad crossing there where the switch was to Cayuga. But you could see both ways 4 or 5 miles. So when good men and women stand by and do nothing, nothing gets done. So I think it's time right now for us to do something. And I hope this doesn't just fall on deaf ears. Because most of you that know me knows that I'm a fighter. And if I don't get the results that I think I should get, I'll give you my resources and my time. Whatever you guys need. But I just think this is something that we need to take care of and take care of it now. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. And just speaking from myself, I can assure you it's not falling on deaf ears. My phone calls with state leadership and members of NDOT, they've agreed to a meeting May the 31st at North Vermillion High School. This is a private meeting with NDOT leaders and county leaders, and my hope is that they do listen to us this time. I'm tired of hearing the excuses as well of, not enough traffic or we can't take the hill out to grade. Well, they do it everywhere else. The state has a massive surplus of money, and Representative Morrison and state leaders agree that NDOT needs to do something. So I'll definitely do my best to keep everyone apprised of how that meeting goes. But I'm like you, Mike. I'm not going to stop until the state does something. I mean, it's one tragedy was way too many. So thank you for coming tonight and speaking.
Thank you also. We'll keep you advised and keep you updated as it progresses along. WTHI data sharing application.
Is this just an approval tonight?
That's got set rates, right? For
Yeah, because I called them last year and they're not paying us any more money. When we called them last time on this. If there's no objection, I'll make a motion to approve the agreement with WTH.
Do we have to do these each time for each application? I thought this is already an agreement, agreed to price, and we agreed with, I guess, John, is there a place in here where this becomes a operational, or does each agreement to transfer data out of our GIS network require commissioner approval?
You could set a procedure for it and just say, here's the procedure we want everybody to follow, and then you wouldn't have to approve each one as it came up.
Okay, well,
I think the rule is you can set a procedure as long as you don't discriminate between similarly situated entities.
yeah, unless there's an exception to this, I think we need to come up with that. Tonight we can address it as commissioners, but I think this should be an operational procedure, not a commissioner procedure. Unless there's some type of...
I agree. I don't think it's anything crazy or anything.
Did you make a motion already?
Yeah.
I'll second your motion.
discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Recall.
Opposed? Ordinance 2022-11 county purchasing policies.
So John, this was the one that you kind of cleaned up all the previous ordinances and put them all in one.
Yes, that's what I tried to do.
And since we technically haven't had a first reading of this, do you guys want to read it by title and then act on it next meeting?
That'd be fine. I have a question. Can we do that during discussion?
Okay. I'll with that I'll read this by title only. County Ordinance number 2022-11, County Purchasing Policies Ordinance, and ordinance updating the county's purchasing policies.
I'll second the motion.
Well, just read it by title.
I thought we had to approve. Okay.
I think
We
that's
don't have to approve that?
No, I don't think so for the first reading. No.
Yeah.
And I do have a question about, with this ordinance, last time I read it, it didn't seem like it took away any conflicting ordinances or anything that's previous to that. Is that something we'll take care of during codification, or?
Take a look. In section 5, it says that all ordinances or parts of ordinances or resolutions that are inconsistent with the provisions of this ordinance are repealed to the extent of such inconsistency.
Yeah, that's the inconsistencies.
Yeah,
It looks like we've got
we can
time.
beef it up more and just specifically say these ordinances are repealed, or however you
Or,
do it.
I guess that's my question, do we, because it looks like we'll have a reiteration of ordinances, especially those 1983, 89, whatever those ones were. Is that something that would be better taken care of during, if we ever get to codification of our ordinances, or would it be something that we should address now?
Up to you guys.
Okay.
Either way is fine.
Thank you, we'll go on.
Okay. So if you want to make that change, maybe just send me an email and.
I don't know if we're going to change
Okay.
this question.
Okay. You done with that? For now?
It's first reading, we'll
That's what I'm
address it
saying,
next
we're done
time.
with that for right now. You guys got anything else to comments? Oh, we gotta go back on this other situation here. The LIT excess money, and also want Doug Hess. Got something to say?
I thought that was included in the docket.
Yeah, we've already approved it.
Okay, okay.
That was in the docket.
Yeah, they updated it today.
Doug, did you want to say anything? Economic development? Since
Hard to
you're
talk
here.
about the new launch of the Facebook and, get people to like that page.
Yeah. Doug Hess, Economic Development. As RJ said, that we did, it's been about 10 days ago now, we launched our social media that's out there. And we're on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And it's a way to start promoting Vermilion County. And we've had, I don't know, 4 or 5 different posts so far. Anybody in the community that has ideas that would like to send it our way so we can kind of vet that would be appreciative. Ways that we can try to craft a message to encourage people not only to bring business in here, but also to visit Vermilion County. And so we are working on a couple other things as well regarding that. So I think in 10 days we've got around 160 likes, and so every other day or so we'll be pushing that out in social media and try to build a following not only locally but regionally and statewide as well.
And local communities too, because you're going to be sharing stuff that they have like fireworks or like Little
Correct.
Italy on economic development. Any local people in whether it's Cayuga, Clinton City, Fairview have that information. They need to forward that to you as well.
Yes, if they would, then what we could do, for example, 4th of July is coming up, and that's always a good time. So if we know different communities within Vermilion County is going to have a fireworks or a celebration, let us know, and we can craft that message and send it out to not only reach our residents, but also others as well, to show that we're inviting and encourage them to come in and visit our county.
Awesome.
How could we work that out where the idea I was wanting to see down was all the available properties in Vermilion County, especially lots. There's a lot of these subdivisions right now that got lots are for sale.
Mm-hmm.
And if we put that out there, I think it'd make a big difference. People come here trying to find a piece of property to build. Everybody says ain't no place. There is a lot of subdivisions right now that's got lots.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, again, we can craft something with that as long as we know the different lots and or subdivisions, however pieces of land. We can work on that and periodically send that out there in a social media message to, again, encourage people to not only build and or move here. I also want to tie that in with our 2 school districts, the North and South Vermilion school districts as well. So we will be crafting some type of message that will talk about our good schools and also what a great place this is to live as well.
Awesome.
So absolutely, we'll be more than happy to do that.
Did you learn anything from your last foray over?
Yes, so last week I was over at Ball State University attending the Indiana Economic Development course. It was a long week. Started at 8 and went till 6 every night, so a lot of lectures. But yes, we did learn quite a little bit. Got to meet other individuals, not only my counterparts throughout the state, but also some state officials as well. Had some good conversations with Okra and their department heads. So I definitely believe it was well worth my time being out of the office. Now I'm paying for it this week, playing catch up, but that's life, right?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
You guys got anything else in my public comment?
I'd just like to update the community. I think the highway departments will be starting paving here within the next, I think, month. I'll make sure I announce, when they come up north, but just use caution when people are paving. Some people do not slow down. I know they see it at the state level. I know county level, they don't slow down, they won't stop. So just use caution. These people have families they want to get home to as well. And we're making these roads smoother for them to drive on, so hopefully they appreciate that. That's all I have.
Good.
We came across a week or so ago a system called Stryker. It's a Lance system. It's basically a mechanized CPR, something that I'd like where I'm going to be sending some information to you all concerning the cost of this, the success rate of it, the implications of it, the manpower requirements, the training, and so forth. It's something that the ARP monies can be used for, whether we do or not, yet to be seen. But also COVID monies have been used to be able to purchase these things, but it's basically for the local EMS response. It's not for necessarily the ambulance, but it's for the fire departments or the equivalent thereof, our EMS systems out in the county. But the success rates of people walking out of the hospitals after these have been implemented is just well, it's hard to believe the data so far, and so we need to look into it further, but it's something I think we need to seriously consider here soon. I also like to hear from the fire departments as to whether they're willing to engage in this. It's something that the county would spend the money for, what I would be proposing the county spend the money for, but the implementation of that and the use of it and the training for it would still fall on the fire departments, and so, but it also takes away the need for manpower from the fire departments, where it actually takes the place of 2 or 3 or 4 individuals of having to provide this type of service, where a very limited group, or very limited, but to one person basically that can respond with the machine can perform CPR for an extended period of time. So it's something we need to, I would like for us to seriously consider going forward. Probably the last thing I have is congratulations to the class of 22. I guess graduation comes up this weekend, and so go for it, guys.
John, you got anything?
No.
Public comment.
John's like me, we're going to get home and eat early dinner tonight. That's what we're
I don't know
thinking.
if she's going to
That's how
speak.
I am.
Yeah.
Have
Annie,
you
you're
guys
2
talked
minutes.
anymore about the road cut permits? Remember before you guys were gonna have Ron and Penny be involved, and I'm getting road cut permits nonstop right now, so.
There's
Cause it comes through me, everything's coming through me, and I send it to the commissioner that I believe that it belongs to, but sometimes it takes 4 or 5 days before I hear back from one of you, and like I said, I don't know, are you still gonna have Ron and Penny involved in the road cut permits, or are we gonna do it the same way?
I don't think we've had any other discussions
No, we haven't.
since the very beginning, so.
Okay, well, I just had a couple come in today, and I thought, oh, I should have said something on the agenda.
We have
because-
not changed anything officially.
So you guys are still, I'm just gonna send it to you, as response time, for joint. What are we?
I don't know who came up with 3 days, but that's not a reasonable time to review something and to get comments back or even to look at it.
Well, I need some kind, they're wanting to know what response time is, because they're working, and as they send it to me, she has to send a check to me. It's like, it's a process for them to even get to use it once like, if I don't hear back from you for 6 days, she has to send me a check, then I have to send her the receipt before she can even start the cutting of the road permit. So it's a 2-week process if you don't get back with me within 3 or 4 days.
I think we commissioners need to have a meeting and to talk
Yeah.
about this and work it out and get back with you.
Yep.
We'll work something out
All right,
different.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we have some other things that need to be discussed
Yeah.
that we proposed.
We need to have a
year
meeting.
ago.
Well, I just know you had said something about having Ron and Penny involved instead of having our office involved, and, I mean, that's fine with me, I don't care. Because I know nothing about the road cut permits, I don't know, where, I know something was said about they cut somewhere and they weren't supposed to, and
I got a call last week from the District 2 garage. She wanted to know if she could give the guy a road cut permit. Where? What? You know, I had no idea what she's talking about.
We'll have a meeting to address that here.
So-
We need to put that on our agenda, us three getting together and talk about that, get that worked out.
you know, and is it still gonna be the same amount, are we charging more, less?
We'll address that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Anybody else got public comment?
Just one thing. Ron Mack, citizen now. I want to support what Mike said. I don't care what you're driving. I've been through that 234-63 intersection in cars, trucks, motorcycles, semi-trucks, and you cannot see past the signs. Especially if the sun's in the right place or whatever, and you're trying to haul grain and make it to Dana before they close. It's terrible. So, and they're going to tell you you don't have sufficient traffic count for a light there. That's going to be the first thing out of their mouth. But it's not the traffic count, it's the type of traffic that uses that intersection is what's key.
Okay.
The other thing Mike brought up was the jungle in front of the high school. They're going to tell you that's a protected area and that was donated by somebody, and there's a youth organization somewhere that's supposed to be maintaining that. Well, it hasn't been maintained for 20 years, 25 years. Nobody's doing the job. That's what's allowed it to grow up. So if they're not going to take care of it, I'm with Mike, it needs to go. Thank you.
We'll
Thank
address
you.
it. Anybody else? We're gonna get out here at a reasonable hour tonight. Need a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second to motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We adjourn. Thank you all.